Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Freddy Saavedra with me here today. Freddy is an attorney with an extensive background in information technology that he uses to optimize the delivery of legal services. After serving in the U.S. Army for 11 years in the area of telecommunications, he transitioned into the legal field and has used his IT background to better serve his personal injury clients. He's also very involved in the community and currently serves as the president of Los Abogados, a Hispanic Bar Association, where he advocates for the needs of his Hispanic legal community, Their signature program assists first-generation law students with the LSAT scholarship program, in which their four most recently admitted students have gone to Stanford, Berkeley, Yale, and the U of A law schools. Very cool. Welcome to the show, Freddy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And a lot of great stuff there. So, which would you like to start on first? Do you want to start on your role as president of that association, or do you want to give us a snapshot of your business?
Sure, we can start with the organization.
Okay.
I'll tell you a bit of background. The organization started in 1976. They are Los Abogados, the lawyers. It started as a bit of an activist organization to promote the needs of people Hispanics entering the legal profession, right?
Sure.
Membership on boards, memberships with the state bar, judiciary appointments, stuff like that. And scholarships. Scholarships have always been a big part of that. So that's where it started. We're celebrating our 48th year. We just had our gala. We had 530 registrations. We had about 510 people attending at the Renaissance downtown just last Saturday.
Nice.
Great event, raised a lot of money, and that money is going to go into scholarships and to our programming. So very happy with with the entire year. My year ends December 31st. So I need a break too. As you can imagine, when you're president, when you have a business and you're also president of a nonprofit, it can be very, very taxing. So I'm looking forward to the break.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of demands on your time.
Yes.
Okay. And very impactful association. That sounds like you're doing a lot of great work. You should be very proud of it.
Thank you. Yeah, I was sharing that, throughout the years, we have given out over $400,000 to 60 Latino students, most of them first generation, college students, first generation law students. We have endowed scholarships at both law schools. They are at around over $340,000. They generate interest. They provide scholarships. And our fellows, we named this program after ASU law professor Charles Galleros. Our fellows have earned over $500,000 in scholarships as well. So it's a great program. It's the wonderful thing is that all of these kids are Arizonans, right? We are taking first generation Arizonans and helping them get into law school. A lot of them, their career may take them wherever, but they're Arizonans, right? They'll be back and it will make an impact in our community. And I think it already has. I know it has, because some of these children, I'm sorry, these people are adults, right? But we think of them as, we're so protective of them. But no, they're giving back to this community already in so many different ways. So we know it's making an impact, and we're very happy with what's happening.
Excellent. That's great stuff. So in your business right now, you do sort of IT legal stuff. You sort of put your two expertises together. Is that right?
Yes, in a way, the legal profession as a whole, we're very conservative. Attorneys are known for being the last to adopt technology. Once COVID hit, a lot of law firms had to modernize immediately for remote access and things like that. But before then, technology was really behind in many law firms. But what I was able to do from the beginning is, by using my IT background, leveraging as much as I could in terms of case management software, CRM, digital marketing, you name it. And a lot of the success that we've had has been with artificial intelligence and implementing that to create a template to generate the results that we want. For instance, we deal with insurance companies. They're giant companies, and we're very small. We're a very small law firm, and we have to multiply our efforts. So by using AI, creating templates, and really kind of hammering home our message and our our threats, and our demands,
Sure.
it gets us faster results, better results, and every now and then we're able to really overwhelm the insurance company to get even better results. So, we try to get them into a position where, we want to claim that they're doing something in bad faith, and when they're not taking action in a timely manner. And when we're able to do that, we're able to open up the limits of a policy and really get outstanding results for our clients. And it's very rare that happens, especially in Arizona, especially in Maricopa County. But we've been very happy with our results there so far.
Okay. And in terms of being a smaller shop, can you speak to how your team has been able to leverage AI to produce more? I mean, in lieu of hiring more, I don't even know, paralegals or other assistants in various positions, how you've been able to leverage AI to do that sort of work. Can you speak to that?
For the most part, it's in the templates. It's in creating and optimizing templates, and optimizing them quickly when there's a recent rule change or something that we want to think of it as a machine, right? We have a machine that's running, that's putting out this work product, but there's a recent rule change out of the Fifth Circuit, and we want to implement that into our letters. We might have to generate something quick. We might have to go into AI and generate some of this language, address or analyze this quickly, implement that into our templates, with a bit of a placeholder, so we can come back and review, right, as an edit for purposes of making sure that everything is perfect. But we're able to generate and add to our template or our machine as it's working fairly quickly with the use of AI.
Okay. But you're still just focused on personal injury in your practice. You're not trying to also create technological services for the legal industry.
No, not at all. I don't know if you have businesses out there that work with attorneys. Attorneys are hard customers. They're challenging. They are difficult. They think they know it all. I'm telling you, as an attorney, it's really a hard customer base. I learned that the hard way. When I initially started, I was able to work with a firm that had built 10 years prior. They had built this wonderful case management software from beginning to end. It was a Social Security firm. They were managing thousands of clients, and it was really a thing of beauty, right? If this happens, then that happens. If we receive this letter from Social Security, then we have to generate these 10 steps, and these 5 people are responsible, and this is the time frame. It was gorgeous, but it was 10 years old. It hadn't been updated. So as I'm graduating law school, their servers crashed, and the server was so old, they had to buy another server on eBay to put the disks on that server to make them spin to get the backup. And now they need a new server, and the software was very old. So, as I came in for that interview, they found out about my background, and they said, you start on Monday and you're in charge. And that's how I fell in love with the case management software. I had to update it several times on the old server before we would be able to transfer it to the new server,
Right.
and then finalize the updates. That's how old it was. And, replace all the hardware and software as well. I think we were working with WordPerfect when the entire staff used Word, things like that. And I fell in love with it, and I would not stop talking about it, right? How beautiful it could be, how systematized it could be. Well, that became my calling card, and I received a lot of offers from law firms wanting to hire me to do that for them. But it was challenging. I'll tell you one example. I went to a firm, and they had 3 senior partners, and they said, we need this. We see the value. We understand what you can do, and we absolutely want to implement, but we don't want to use it. We wanted the staff to use it, but not us, because they were running a firm on, 2 of them were on Outlook. One of them was on Evernote, I believe. And it's like, that's the kind of example of this, pushback against technology and against changing the way they do things. So I wouldn't sell to lawyers. I think that's a hard hard gig.
Okay, that's interesting. Is that attribute that or a personality trait that the legal industry seems to draw to them as people who like systems that are very, very analytical, very fixed sort of mindset in a way?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think what happens is in law school, you're reading for 3 years, you are studying what went wrong, right? This is what went wrong in this case, right? There's a famous case in, I believe in civil procedure, or maybe it's torts about the Volkswagen that, I want to say it's a Volkswagen that caught fire and all the issues that went wrong. So we're always looking for what is going to go wrong. What is the problem? So there's that hesitancy to adopt anything because something's going to go wrong.
Sure.
But, law school is taught usually in appellate and Supreme Court cases that explain to you the facts of the case, the background of a case, and tell you why they ruled this way and what went wrong, what should have been different, what mistakes the attorneys made, or where the law changed. So I think as a rule, we tend to come out very conservative, very careful, and very worried about making a mistake.
Sure.
There's a book by the name of White Shoe that talks about how the legal landscape has been created in the United States. And it also talks about attorneys' hesitancy to adopt the phone, the fax machine, the elevator, you name it. There used to be only mail secretaries. A letter would have to be written by hand, delivered to the opposing counsel, and given back, right? For whatever reason. So the mail secretary would wait while it was read, it would be given back, and it would be taken back, and they would have, rooms full of male secretaries. A female secretary was something that had to be adopted over time. So we've been lagging behind in terms of adoption of new technologies, and I think that's generational, but it's for that reason, the way that law school is taught him.
Right. So the industry is inherently that way, but also more nurture over nature. You think that they're trained to be cautious and conservative?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I feel the same way with physicians, right? They're very skeptical. All right, and which is part of their training as well.
You know what? With physicians, I've had them on the stand, and I believe, I may be wrong. You could correct me, that they find it very hard to admit mistakes. Maybe of course, obviously in front of an attorney, right? That's understandable, but I think for their own well-being, right, that they have to be able to live with their decisions and really make the best decision with the information that they have. But I find it very hard for them to admit a mistake, even if it's staring them in the face, or at least I think it's staring them in the face. I find it very hard for them to acknowledge a mistake.
Right. That may be a component of their position, right? Where you have to be confident in your choices otherwise you'd be paralyzed,
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's ego there too, right? Because generally, when you're successful and you've had to be good at this and good at that to even get to where you are and stuff. And so at some point there may be, I don't know about an elitist, but definitely there has to be some ego there that's been developed.
Absolutely. Makes sense.
So what sort of sets your firm apart then right now in terms, what comes easy to you? You mentioned the IT stuff. So is that something that in representing people that shows up in the service?
It does, and it does in a bit of an odd way. The thing is, by and large, personal injury is A hurts B, B has a claim, B makes a claim, and B gets paid. But if you really dig down into it, there could be so many complicating factors, and it is in those complicating factors that we really stand out. And because we're so systematized, and we do a lot by templates. We have templates for this type of case, that type of case, and the system keeps learning and growing on itself. So I'll give you an example. When we take on a case, let me explain to you the why. So I was in my first deposition. I was deposing a defendant. He hit my clients. He injured my clients. His insurance didn't want to pay, and he was just there, lackadaisical, didn't seem to have a care in the world. My impression was that his insurance company had told him, these people are just complainers, they're just trying to get money out of us, and that's the picture that was in his mind. So as we're sitting there at a deposition, I'm asking him questions, and I get to the point of asking him about, are you aware that your policy limits are only $30,000? He's like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. Are you aware that we have made an offer of judgment at $30,000? Maybe, I'm not sure, I don't know. Well, are you aware that if we get more than that, it might be coming out of your pocket? Well, he didn't know that, right? And he says, whoa, 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 I didn't know that. And he starts arguing with his defense attorney, and they take a break. They actually go outside. We had glass, a glass wall there. I could hear, they were yelling at each other. Right. Because this person didn't know that he had personal exposure. Nobody had bothered to tell him that. Knowing that, from the moment that we take on a case, the first letter that we sent to the insurance adjuster, I am asking for the defendant's social security number, how much he has in his bank account, how much he has in real estate, where he lives, who he lives with, what policies apply, whether the family purpose doctrine applies, so that I can bring his parents into. Now, they're not required to answer that, right? I do note in there that if I make a policy limits demand, then we will demand that information. But that starts to break apart the relationship and really show the defendant how serious this really is, and that their insurance adjuster isn't working in their best interest. Now, that's the first letter that goes out, where we've already said, we're coming after you, right? If this goes south, that you potentially have this exposure. And then the insurance companies would say something like, which they're not allowed to, this impact was so light or so small, we don't think a person could have been injured. Well, the Department of Insurance of Arizona has prohibited that practice. They say you can't just say there's a low impact and try to limit a person's ability to make a claim. You have to look at everything. You have to look at the medical records. You have to look. So when we get something in writing that says, we believe this impact was too low and we're not going to pay you, I have my template generated letter with the copy of the Department of Insurance. And by the way, their letter is Exhibit A, and it's going, and oh, by the way, please show this to your insured. They're insured, the defendant already knows. We've asked for how much he has in the bank. We've asked for his other insurance information. And now we're telling him that his insurance is doing a prohibited practice that is most likely going to end up with him in a lawsuit, right? So we're continuing to inform them about what's happening so that we don't have a result where they're showing up at deposition uninformed and with exposure, hopefully. And hopefully they put pressure on their own insurance to do the right thing.
Right. So what sort of, do you have a subspecialty within the space that you like, accidents or something that you focus on?
I think what we're doing and what I really love is the ability to open the limits of an insurance carrier. An insurance company, the minimum policy limits in Arizona are $25,000 maximum per person, $50,000 maximum per accident, and $15,000 maximum for property damage. And the insurance company there is just managing risk, right? If let's say that you crash into somebody, you have 25, 50 limits, they have to protect you from a lawsuit. Let's say you injure somebody and the injuries, the medical costs exceed $100,000. Well, they probably should try to limit that to the 25,000 and get you free and clear from this, right? And if they don't make the right decision, if they have an opportunity to settle for within the limits and they fail to take it when a reasonable insurer would have taken that opportunity, they might have additional exposure, right? And that's where we really shine in trying to create that additional exposure, trying to rush a case through. The moment we have meat on the bones to say, if you have 25,000, you need to give them to us now, right? The moment I cross $25,000 in bills, I'm coming for those limits. Now, if they have 100,000 or $1 million, they're going to tell me to go pound sand. I get it. But, if I don't take that opportunity to make a policy limits demand, I may lose the opportunity to put them into bad faith exposure. And that's really, I think more than anything, that's kind of what we're looking at to do. And the reality is we should be pushing these cases very aggressively. So some cases, a personal injury case could take 3-4 years, right? If you take it all the way to verdict. So it is important to press them and to look out for these opportunities of them, the insurance company making a mistake and potentially opening up the limits. So if anything, I think it's the ability to take a case and try to turn it into a bad faith case. That's where we shine.
Okay. You mentioned duration. What is sort of like the average term or duration that these judgments or cases go?
We're very, very fast in ours, and I think we're still right at 7 months. There's a number of reasons. Even if we've had some extremely fast cases where there are very significant injuries, and we know that, that we'll quickly find the exposure is 250,000. We have 200,000 in medical bills. We're going to get that. But once we get that, right, the hospitals need to get paid. The health insurance companies need to get paid. That could take months, right, to resolve all of that. So we're still looking at about 7 months. Some of these cases, when when the insurance company refuses to settle for a fair amount, we have to file a lawsuit. I mean, it could take so long. On average, we're about 7 months, but that's because we're really pushing it. And even some of these fast cases, I think the quickest I can get one out is in about 4 months. But usually the issue is the medical bills, getting them resolved and making sure that the client walks away free and clear, if at all possible.
You have to have the total bills in hand before you can settle anything.
No, that's another thing. So I tell my clients, right, my first job is to try to get as much as I can. And then my second job is to put as much as I can in your pocket. So if you're injured today and I can settle the case today, the bills in the future may not apply to this settlement. So that is also why we want to push the case and settle it. Or if they apply, we have some leverage to try to reduce the bills. We want to pay our providers. We want everybody to come out of this case as good as possible, but we also have to protect the rights of the client. If I'm facing a bill, I've seen cases where I have a single hospital visit and the bill is over $50,000. That's a bit outrageous. It's helpful to us, right, to take that to the insurance to present that bill. But when it comes time to paying it back, if there's not $50,000 in the case, we're stuck. So we have to negotiate with the healthcare providers. And that is where that systemization, those templates, they work multiple ways, right? They work against the insurance companies for the defendant in an accident, but they also work, obviously it's different laws, different templates, but we also have to use them against hospitals, against health insurance carriers, temporary disability insurance, permanent disability insurance, all of those, there's a lot of arguing and fighting with them as well involved.
Okay. So back to the question on this sort of subspecialty, what sort of clients or is your practice made up of medical? I mean, is there a mix of types of clients that you specialize in representing?
We take on all cases. By and large, our specialty is auto, and I have friends that love the trucking cases and the wrongful death cases. We do very well in just your standard auto case, right? Okay. Because of our template. And here's the thing. Our template works great and our system works great when you're dealing with $100,000 or less. But when you're dealing with $1 million or a multi-million-dollar policy, these tactics don't really work because, you're not putting them at risk for all their money. So by and large, our system mostly works on, $250,000 and below policies and injuries. And when we have larger cases, we do like to partner with the specialist in the field. So for instance, I had a case against a rideshare company. Okay. I think I can't say the name. They have very long non-disclosure agreements. They're like 7 pages. But in this case, it was against Uber. So let me go and find the lawyer that just had a case against Uber and had a multi-million-dollar settlement. Why don't I partner with them on this one, right? I have an issue with, this trucking company. Let me find who was the last one to get a large verdict out of them, and let's work together, right, to get the best result for the client. So we are big fans of partnering with firms wherever we find them, right, even if it's around the country, when we have a larger case that we believe that firm can bring significant value to.
Okay. Very interesting. The question I like to ask a lot of people in the show is reflecting on your journey. What do you wish you would have known sooner in building wealth and success in your career. And let me also at this point remember to say thank you for your service. 11 years in the Army. That's awesome.
Thank you. Wow. You know, well, I grew up in West Phoenix. I went to Trevor Brown High School, class of 1996. And I actually went back and I looked, and there's only, I think there's less than 10 attorneys maybe in the last 20 years that have graduated from Trevor Brown. And then as I went to ASU Law, I would see maybe we had 20 kids from one high school there, right? Like Brophy, for instance, right? Because they're so, or St. Mary's, because they're so well represented there. And my point being, to your question is that, what do I wish I had known? That's such a strong question for me at this moment, because as I mentioned, I'm also the president of this organization. And this year, I've gone through such significant growth personally and professionally, and I'm really enjoying that journey. I'm really enjoying seeing the lessons, played out before me, and it's just wonderful. It's a great time for me. So I'm grateful for the knowledge as I've received it. I could be so much farther ahead, I think, if I would have done so many things. Most of them probably personal, right? Like being nicer, being kinder. I guess if anything, I think that's probably. I guess a lesson that I think I would have loved to learn is that I think I've spent all my life saying I don't want to be involved in politics. I want nothing to do with politics. But here's the reality that I feel right now is that we're always involved in politics. Politics surrounds us every day in every relationship. And the sooner you can acknowledge that and accept that, the better off I think we'll be, and all the things that are important in politics, not burning bridges, and really understanding people and their motivations and being helpful where you can. I think that's something that could have served me very well, I think, but it's more personal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That was a great answer. Thank you, Freddie. I think that's not uncommon, right? As a parent, I have teenagers and I see things differently now. And I think we're all pretty selfish when we start off, right? We're born narcissists or whatever the saying is.
Yes.
And everybody does everything for us. Why wouldn't I be selfish?
Of course, yes.
But to mature and start thinking about other people and giving and continue growing. That was something for me in a very technical industry. I learned a lot for many, many years, but I wasn't working on myself. Mm-hmm. For a long time. My personal growth had sort of stopped, and I've been a little bit on a journey there myself as well. That's been wonderful. Yeah,
absolutely. I do get opportunities to speak to law students every now and then, and I think that's something that I do share, is that your colleagues, the people around you, there might be competition right now, but they're your future references. They will be referring clients to you. So yes, it's a competition, but don't forget to be nice to these people, right? You never know.
Yep. It's it's not just a small world, but that scarcity mindset, right, versus an abundance mindset. The scarcity mindset can really hurt you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Another great point. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you, Freddie, so much for your time today and for sharing some insights and tips with us. If people would like to connect with you, learn more, what should they do?
They could go to our website, legalbetter.com. We're on social media, and the messages get to me. So reach out through our website, through all of our social media, legalbetter.com. I think we're Legal Better on Instagram as well, Facebook. Yeah, just reach out.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you everyone for listening and watching. We very, very much appreciate Freddy Saavedra for joining me today. We appreciate you sharing your story and insights into success and impact here in Phoenix.
Thank you very much.
Inspired by our guests? Visit PhoenixProsperityPodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.